songwriting is a mixture of the two. You receive and sculpt, and receive and sculpt, and it can happen 100 times. Your job is not to be in service to those people. Your job is to be in service to the song. I think the worst case scenario is that if you write something that you don't believe in and they like it, oof, then you're stuck playing that for the rest of your life.
The clouds turned red and serpentine, a premonition from on high awoke a voice inside my mind. What is it about an artist dying that makes the art more palatable? And those who never gave a listen, now quick to climb on board. And you who never knew the lyrics, say, oh, I've always loved this one. And you who never spared a penny, cried and cried like you lost your only friend. What is it about a traitor dying that makes the harm forgivable? You throw some dirt upon their grave and say they did their best. I guess it's only on me now for stepping in that mess. And all the pain you waded through, though then obliterated you, looks easier now, designed somehow to put you in the right light for the shit you're dealing with today, which looks so much bigger than the past. Imperfection is beautiful in retrospect, and great big flaws are charming when there's no one there to correct. What is it about a mother dying that makes the grief insatiable? As if the time in utero that grew your flesh and built your bones is tearing out your heart, 'cause it's rewinding now, unraveling your sense of who you are. And everything you sought from her is needed by your daughter, so you carry her to term, and with a little push she falls out of the nest into the sky, which looks so much bigger than the past. Imperfection is beautiful once the hands are gone, and the farther we are from failure, the more we see its charm. Now feels bigger than the past. 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 Now feels bigger
I want this one.
It's yours. You can have it.
Oh, thank you.
That was incredible.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Becca
you.
Stevens on the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
So happy to be here.
I'm really excited about this. This was so kismet because you're playing tonight with opening for Julian Lodge just around the corner at the Blue Room here in Nashville, Tennessee. And this worked out so well because I literally texted you yesterday saying, you're in town. Can you come by and hang out? So thank you so much for making the time to hang out. You are one of my favorite songwriters in existence currently. So I'm so excited for you to be here. And I have so many questions. I want to hear about this song. What inspired it and where did it come from?
Yeah. This one took a long time. You know, sometimes they just fly in the door and they're done. And this one, like, the seed came a bunch of years ago after Prince died. The first verse, I was grappling with some complicated feelings about, like, seeing people posting about him who weren't necessarily into his music, and suddenly emotional about his loss, which I both appreciated, and then also there was just a part of me that was like, where were you? He needed you, you know? And so I was thinking about that in the context of, like, we as artists, we need you, you know, we need your more than just more than just these little liking of sound bites, these, like, thumbs up on these little miniature moments from our music. We, like, really need you, you know? And then I sort of put that away. In fact, it was the first line was on a piece of paper taped to my wall. It even moved apartments with me. It was, what is it about an artist dying that makes the art more palatable? And I was like, well, this is a fun question that I'll think about later. And then when I was writing the music for Maple to Paper, which is an album that was created through the birth of my firstborn, the loss of my mom, and then through the entire pregnancy of my second daughter. So it was very motherhood oriented. So obviously the lyrics started to move in that direction as I was mulling over this question. And in the second verse, I'm thinking how when you have conflict with someone, in the second verse I call them a traitor, just because it made an interesting lyric. When you have conflict with someone and then they die, the conflict kind of becomes less offensive because of the nature of them being gone. And then the third verse is for my mom and also for my daughter. Yeah, so it's this processing of that.
This podcast is really a labor of love, and the function is really to share the incredible stories and inspiration to help you along your journey as a musician. If you want to help the show, one of the best ways that you can do it is to click the subscribe button below, leave us a comment, or leave us a like. That helps tell YouTube to spread this to more people like you. In addition to that, we've been thinking about different ways that we can add more value to our community and viewers here. So what we've done is we've created a totally free community where we're adding a bunch of bonuses and extras. Things like tablatures from the episodes, behind the scenes content. Like I said, it's totally free. If that's interesting to you, click the link below in the description and we'll see you over there. With that, let's get back into the show.
How do you approach that songwriting process? How do you go from a seed and then slowly develop it? Did the song emerge in like a single writing session, or was it this sort of piece by piece over a couple of years?
It moved quickly once I was focusing on it, which I think is a testament to the muse is always there waiting for us to listen to what she's trying to bring in, and once you show up and open up the window, the stuff flies in, you know. So I saw that piece of paper when I was writing music for Maple to Paper and instantly second guessed, like, oh, that doesn't belong here. But my muse was going, yes it does, and my critical mind was saying, you know. And so I just picked it up and I was like, I'll give it a chance. And I threw my guitar into Dadgad just because it was like this kind of vibe was ringing in my head, almost in like I was hearing like a Nick Drake-y kind of accompaniment to this line. And so I just threw my guitar in Dadgad, and I think I probably started with this part. And then I thought, why don't I just do something really simple to see how that would come through. What is it about it? And thinking about how I would speak it. What is it about an artist? You know, the same kind of shape as how I would speak it. And that became the vehicle. And then as far as like the timeline, it's a blur now when I think about it, but I think the majority of the song was out in 2 days or less. And it was such an emotional time that it was like it really wanted to come out. And I remember writing the third verse, tears were going down my face, and I couldn't believe it was coming through. It was like a really special writing experience.
How do you set the table for that kind of moment to happen? What sort of routines do you do in order to like invite the muse out and like make space for it to arrive when it does?
I always wish that I was a more like outwardly routined person, but I should give myself credit in that there is an internal routine that's always happening in writing. I'm observing as much as I'm struggling. So sort of like meditation, where you get caught up in you're just sitting with your thoughts, and then there's like all these distractions that happen and you get caught up in them. And then if you can step outside of that for a second and just be more of an observer, that's what I try to do with songwriting. So when I notice thoughts that are overly general, that's a cue that I've taught myself from many years of observing that voice. I've taught myself, okay, if the words are overly general, then they're coming directly from my critical mind. And I know from working with my critical mind that the root of that voice is fear, and it's trying to protect me.
If the words that are coming out are general, then it's a protective mechanism.
Let's do an example.
Please.
Will you be the critical mind, and
Okay.
I'll give you imagine that you're writing a song,
Yeah.
and something that would come up, something like something negative about something that often comes up that's negative when you're writing, like
Yeah.
that hangs you up.
Oh, if someone hears that, then they'll think X, Y, Z about me, or that's not good enough. That doesn't live up to my standard for like what a great song should sound like.
Yeah. So very general, right?
Yeah.
It's not about a specific lyric. It's not about a specific section. It's not about a specific chord, and therefore it's not constructive for you because there's nothing there to work with.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So its purpose is more to hang you up than it is to actually help you. So let's keep going with it. So I'll be the other part of my brain that's trying to practice with that. So what part of it makes you feel that way?
Additionally, we've been thinking about cool ways that we can add more value to our community here. And our nerdy team over here has come up with a really cool new software tool for you. Basically, it's a slowdown and looping tool for all of the platforms that you learn guitar on. It lives in your browser on top of YouTube and Instagram, and it allows you to slow things down, loop different sections so you can really focus and learn things from all of these videos. It's a super cool tool. I use it every single day myself, and we want to give it to you as the viewer for free. So all you need to do is click the link below, register for that, install it on your computer, and that is our gift to you. So with that, we'll get back into the episode.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like, oh, it's specifically this chord cliche. I'm going from the 1 to the 4 chord, and of course, it just doesn't sound that interesting to me. I heard it a million times.
Okay, good observation. How can we fix that?
Aha, yeah.
So by having that conversation inside your own brain, you might actually push yourself to like a really cool chord that you never would have put in a song, rather than throwing the whole song away just because your critical mind is scared and afraid of sharing it and trying to sabotage the whole operation,
That's so practical.
It's so practical. And then the other approach to it, so your first thing again was, say your blurt again.
Yeah, like, other people won't like this, or
Yeah.
I don't like this because it sounds cliche.
Okay, so the other solution, practical solution, is to remind yourself, and this is like, I have to remind myself this 100 times a day, your job is not to be in service to those people. Your job is to be in service to the song. And so, like, just switching your focus back to this is the reminder that that is not what matters. Obviously, that's a factor, and it's always, like, affecting us, and also that exchange of music and being received is such an important part of what we do, and it's such a compelling part of what we do, but it's not your job to serve that. And when you serve that, I mean, let's just play it out. Let's say you write a song just because you think that those invisible people are going to like it and they don't like it. Ugh, what a waste of time.
Right.
If you write something that you're in service to here, like, how do I serve this song? What does this song want? How do I, really lift this song up in the best way that it can be? And then people like it, win-win. If you write something, I think the worst case scenario is that if you write something that you don't believe in and they like it, oof, then you're stuck playing that for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So true. Gosh, how many musicians are stuck in that spot? Yeah.
Probably a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are songs built or excavated? And by that I mean, does the song already exist and you're trying to clear away the mud and dirt around it? Or is it something that you actually build?
I'm going to go back to the muse mind and critical mind again. I'm always talking about this because I'm always thinking about it. I think the excavating part is the initial blast of inspiration where you feel like you walk into somebody else's yard and you pick something up and it's not yours and you're just full of wonder, Wow, do I even deserve this beautiful pile of gold? And then you could argue that the art is in the edit, and that's all critical mind. So that's also, I think it's important to highlight that because the critical mind often gets a bad reputation for being scared and fearful and wanting to sabotage everything, but also it wants to help and edit and sculpt and play. And so I think songwriting is a mixture of the two. And it's not just first you receive and then you edit. It's like you receive and sculpt and receive and sculpt. And it can happen 100 times within the course of a song, listening, trusting, asking questions, sculpting, repeat.
It makes so much sense. This reframe of the critical mind being like a helper is so great. It's like it's an epiphany for me to think about it that way, because I think a lot of times it's like, oh, in the beginning you want to yes and yourself to get the thing out, and you're gonna make a bunch of junk and it doesn't matter, and the goal is to keep the critical mind like outside of the room for a while and then invite it in. But thinking about it as a collaborator instead in the process is really, it takes all the weight off of the critical mind.
Yeah, it's like a scared little kid, or maybe it's not a kid, it's whatever you want it to be, but it's like a scared person that actually wants to help. And so if you're able to show that part of your mind that you're in control and everything's going to be okay, and also here's a really cool job for you, then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm part of this team too, you know?
Yeah. You are, it seems to me that each album sort of has this arc where you're in the writing stage, and then you're in the production stage, and then you tour it, and then after that you go into the next season. You're about to enter another season of writing. What are the things that you do in your life to sort of prime the pump for that and kind of get out of tour mode and get into internal processing, feeling, sensing, intuitive mode?
I love that question because it really does feel that way. When I'm making records, I'm often not listening to music, but when I'm getting excited about making a record, I'm consuming so much music. And I'm listening to records, and I'm falling in love with records, and like going on walks to records, and asking, why is this setting fireworks off? Like, what is it about it that I'm drawn to right now? And like falling in love. Also, I'm looking for, at least for the last 3 or 4 records, I'm looking for some sort of container, partly out of curiosity, and also because it's so helpful as a driving force through the process of making the record to have some kind of container or concept to help to pull things together. Otherwise, it's just paint flying everywhere and like not knowing what's going on. So for Regina, for example, it was like very early on I said, okay, the word queen is going to be just a jumping off point for every song. And on Wonder Bloom, I said, okay, instead of starting songs in alternate tunings on guitar, I will start more at the computer with drum loops and on the bass with like funky bass lines and stuff, because I wanted to write stuff that got me moving.
Yeah.
And even if the lyrical material was kind of dark and sad, I wanted to write music that still made me feel joyful and want to dance, you know? And then with Maple to Paper, coming back to this, writing on the guitar, but the container being that the songs themselves were these vehicles to move through really intense grief and like accepting the fact that things were going to come through in a really honest way that might not feel comfortable to share, and just like challenging myself to own that, you know.
Mm-hmm. How do you navigate that?
It was a long journey. Initially, I thought, this is just for me. It would be crazy to share this, but I have to do it, because I can't just sit with this pain and darkness in my body. It has to come out, you know. But then trusting people close to me, my manager, Eric, who had recently lost his father, my husband, who is, you know, one of my biggest supporters and knows my music, and they're watching this happen, and both of them were like, oh no, people need to hear this. And I initially, you know, I was like, no, it's too personal. What, you know, why would somebody want to hear me whining about my feelings for 45 minutes, you know? And part of that journey, I think that was the word you used, was honestly listening to other people. So Sufjan Stevens' Carrie & Lowell was huge, you know, I was listening to that in the car and just tears are streaming down my face, and
It's a perfect record.
it's a perfect record.
Yeah.
And it doesn't try to tie things up in a pretty bow. And it doesn't try to put anybody on a pedestal. It just lets the stuff come out, and it holds it for you to see and make with it what you want, and it's perfect in all of that. And so I was listening to that and I was like, oh, okay, there's some permission to just let it be whatever it needs to be for me in my body. And then also like remembering that everyone has parents that they either are close to or have never met. And everyone outlives their parents unless they don't, and then they're not here anymore. So people can relate. It's a very like, even though I thought like, oh, I can't share this, it's too personal, it was sort of a wake-up call for me to consider that like this is a relatable thing, you know. I think it's more rare also for somebody to have an uncomplicated relationship with their parents, you know. And even when you have, uncomplicated. It's rare to have an uncomplicated, to have just like a totally simple, straightforward, you know. So, yeah, I think midway through the writing process, I was like, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm gonna go through it here, and then I'm just gonna put it out, and then I'll figure the rest out later.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you have a theme or a direction that you're feeling into for the next project?
Yes.
Can you talk about it?
Yes.
Okay.
No more writing at home alone. No more recording at home alone. I mean, maybe down the road, but right now I'm just desperate to be out, connecting with people, to feel like seen and witnessed, and collaborative and joyful, and to have the root of the songs come from conversation and my and my fascination with other human beings. Like, I'm really craving that. So I have ideas about having that be the starting point for songs, where I'm like talking with someone, and then they begin as a muse, and then they become a collaborator, you know? And then I also have ideas about how to make the process feel public, so that partly because, like, I don't want to feel alone right now, because I'm so burnt out from Maple to Paper being like 2 years of solitude and postpartum roller coasters and being at home in a new city. I mean, it was just like really lonely. So yeah, I'm really craving this, like, pick up the phone, talk to somebody about something that they believe in, and then spin that into something.
Yeah. That's the concept.
I don't want to give too much away, but yeah.
I want to know.
Yeah, I'll tell you later.
Great. This is cool. So can you talk to me about how you think about collaboration?
It's as different person to person as dating is. And it can be as awkward and non-functional as dating can be without chemistry, you know? And it can be as unbelievably, like, fireworks, beautiful, joyful, fun as, you know, just spending time with someone that you have great chemistry with, whether you're dating or just your friends hanging out when you haven't seen each other in a long time. But it's varied. So if I'm writing with the late, great David Crosby, who I loved writing with so much, we had this rhythm where, you know, his father was a cinematographer, and David had this kind of cinematographer-ness to his lyric writing flow. He'd just get into this space where he'd be like a volcano. And I felt instantly in that moment, okay, my role right now, I want to do this, and it feels like my role is to grab a computer and just capture everything he's saying and make a document of, like, all this gold. So I'm, like, capturing the muse and putting it on the computer as it's coming out of him, and run a recorder and just make sure it's, like, documented fully. And then I love puzzles, and I love kind of going through and finding the things that I like the most, and, like, consolidating them and finding themes, and then bouncing them off him, and he's like, yes. And then, what if we put these two parts together? Ooh, this could be a cool chorus. Yes. And then he, oftentimes, after an hour or something, he'd lay down on the couch and fall asleep. And then I would get excited. Oh, I'm going to come up with something that when he wakes up, he's going to be so excited. Grab a guitar, be working on a tuning. He'd be asleep, and then I'd find this, like, really beautiful tuning. He'd shoot up, awake, and yeah, that one. Oh, that's a good tuning, Bex. And then start to, you know, together we'd sit together and find shapes and you know, look for shapes that make us feel things. And then it's just like that was our rhythm. And then you know, somebody like Michael League. Our rhythm was always, and this is Michael from Snarky Puppy, our rhythm has always been, one of us starts like a remote process with a seed. So the whole Secret Trio record that we were talking about, he sent me a folder of his oud writing seeds, just stuff that he recorded on his phone in the back of a bus. And then I'd send him maybe a guitar part on top of that, or start to make it into a structure, send it back to him, and he'd add something, send it back to me. We love writing that way. And then at the end, I went to Spain and we finished everything, finished the writing process there, the lyrics, the background vocals, like percussion, things like that.
Yeah.
And I'll just do one more. Jacob Collier, I feel like we are two little kids in middle school with like the best example I can think of is like you have like your dad's video camera and you're like making commercials outside in the summertime with your best friend in middle school or something. Like it hardly even feels like writing music because we're just like so goofy, you know? So much laughing, so much goofy, and then he being who he is, like then when he moves to the computer, I can't even keep up with what's happening. Like Logic is like an extension of his body. Like he's just like he puts his hands down and there's like all these tracks doing things with like effects and then in some ways I feel like my role there is to be the slower grounded force of like kind of like asking questions and grounding things, which is a funny role for me because I don't normally feel like that's my role, but when we're together, you know, it's just so each person brings out another thing.
Yeah. How do you co-writing can be a very vulnerable thing. How do you create a space where people feel free to share ideas, even if how do you keep the critical mind out of a co-write?
Well, you don't. I would argue that it's easier to manage the critical mind when you're co-writing if it's harmonious and there's chemistry, because there's so much more playfulness and joy, and also because the ball is bouncing back and forth rather than it just being you throwing the ball against a wall over and over again and then getting frustrated, and it's like really easy to just kind of stop and like leave the room. When you're co-writing, your brain goes blank and you toss the ball and then they have an idea and you're blending your superpowers. But I have been in situations with co-writing where you're not on the same page, and I find it harder to be clear about my instincts and what I want when there's someone else in the room, because I don't want to offend or like displease, you know? But one thing that is really convenient, if it's your own project, you can keep the momentum in the room and save your fears for later. There are songs that I've written in a collaborative setting with strangers where the chemistry was not necessarily there, but we came up with something that then I took home and then fed through my heart, you know, and my authenticity, and came up with this song that I adore that I never would have come up with had I been on my own in the beginning, you know? So even those sort of awkward chemistries can lead to such interesting and beautiful results. Yeah.
How do you think about arrangement when playing with others? If you have this song, especially for this record, did you arrange any of it for a larger band, or is it all played primarily acoustically?
The initial drafts of everything are just acoustic, just guitar and voice, but eventually some of them became orchestral. Like the one that I just played, Vince Mendoza arranged for the Metropole Orchestra to play with Liz Wright and Camila Meza singing with me, and Camila playing the guitar. But for arranging, I think if the song is there, it can become anything. But as far as like when I'm arranging, I don't know, it just feels like, especially if I'm working in a DAW, like GarageBand or Logic, it just feels like I'm just playing, you know, making a track, singing what comes to my mind, making another track, singing what comes to mind, you know, and trying not to like overload things, leave space for the story, try to make things be in service to the story and in service to where I want the focal point to be. Yeah.
When you imagine yourself 40 years from now, are there things that you hope to have communicated in your lifetime?
What great questions you have, Spencer.
Oh, thanks. You make it easy.
I hope to have inspired people to reach for authenticity rather than marketability, which can be it can be like the scarier and longer path, but I believe that each time I do that, it makes for like a more enjoyable path, and I hope that, I don't know, I hope to inspire that. It's like, it's scary just because of money,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
which is real.
Money. So they say.
What's that?
So they say.
So they say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a balance to that too, of course. And I hope, I don't know, I kind of like have this fascination with this, or this hope that I can like open hearts. And I have a belief that through the feeling of people's hearts being opened and joined together, that there's a healing force that can come from that space. That's a great question, and something that I hope to know the answer to by the time I'm 81.
That feels like a lot to communicate, and that feels like important things.
What
to
do you
communicate.
want to have said by 81? Or
Oh,
for
I don't
you,
know.
maybe.
I hope I got a couple good dad jokes in me.
Yeah.
I'll nail a good one before I'm 80, I think. So, I don't
Yeah.
know. I think similarly, I think that people have a natural creative spark, and most people dampen it for fear of judgment, or for fear that it may not work out, or that they won't be safe. I would like to see more people self-actualize in their creative dimension, and I think that's what we're here to do, and I think I'd like to see a lot of people do that.
Here, here.
Would you mind playing us another song?
Sure.
We need to open some hearts.
Well, and also there's this other guitar here.
There sure is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no shortage. Before this shoot, we got to explore the halls of Carter Vintage Guitars, where there are many tempting treats, such as this pre-war that I think was once crushed and then rebuilt into this incredible instrument. And we get to hear it today.
I have no idea what to play. Because we're surrounded in guitars, I'm feeling inclined to put this partial capo on this pre-war Martin and do some fancy guitar stuff.
Sounds great.
But these tuners are very old,
They are old.
so I might.
This is a partial capo that you've just put
I
on.
have put on a partial capo.
I thought you were just going to put it on part of the instrument, but it actually has an opening over the E string.
Well, you know, you can do that, kids,
This
at
is-
home. You can just put, if you're only trying to leave the D string, or what is the D
string.
an E string,
Yeah.
you can do a capo this way and just leave this one open.
Yeah.
But then if you're doing quick stuff,
Yeah,
then you get caught on this
Right.
part of it.
right.
So this is nice. You can
This is great.
you can
I've
get
never
one.
used one of these.
There's all kinds of partial capos. They have them that just hit the 4 middle strings.
Clever.
And I also have one where you can like lift things manually and decide which ones you want to be open.
Oh, wow.
But this
very
is
fancy.
This is the only one that I actively use in songs on stage. Did I mention these tuners are very old?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It do be that way sometimes. Do you,
But-
do you always find different tunings for songs? Because you're a glutton for punishment in some way?
Masochist.
Yeah.
I'm inspired by that
Yeah.
because it takes the guitar out of a known realm into like an unknown kind of playground realm, and then I'm thinking more in shapes and sounds, and that does it for me.
That's so true.
Also, I struggle with tendonitis in both my elbows, and when I'm barring all the time, it triggers it, whereas when I have open strings and lifted like this shape in my hand, it just feels better on my body. So
Yeah.
that's part of it too. All right, we're gonna play a song.
The sun was low and golden over Bed-Stuy. The setting sun was low and golden. The clouds turned red and serpentine, a premonition from on high. Awoke a voice inside my mind that said, let's get moving. On the rooftop, the early morning sky was proud and ready. Tides of pain kept moving in, and I knew just what was happening. Smile between the waves and count to 10, and then let's get moving. At your door.
No cutaway.
No, I'm sorry.
So many angels singing, you've got more.
This is gonna be a long song.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
You can have everything you want, but nothing you can hold lasts forever.
I'm figuring out other ways.
Yeah.
But find what you love and live for it any way you can. The moon was low and hungry through the windshield, but angry in the rearview mirror. I said, baby, I don't know which road to take, but I fear she's gonna go today. So you turned the key and led the way and said, let's get moving. Cause you got so many angels rapping at your door. So many angels singing, you've got more to give. You can have everything you want, but nothing you can hold lasts forever. So find what you love and live for it any way you scared and racing in the driveway. My little heart was scared to pieces. I lost all sense of space and time when I walked into your room to find the face that won't quit singing in my mind. That you got so many angels rapping at your door. So many angels singing, you've got more heart to give. You can have everything you want, but nothing you can hold lasts forever. So find what you love and live for it. So many angels rapping at your door. So many angels singing, you've got my heart to give. You can have everything you want, but nothing you can hold lasts forever. So find what you love and live for it any way you can. Any way you can.
Holy shit, that was so
I
awesome.
realized like 12 seconds in
Like, wait a second.
that I don't know this guitar, and it's
yeah.
it's like both longer and shorter than the one that I usually play on.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh no,
Yeah, you took a stranger
I can't
for
get
a
up
walk.
here. But then there's these extra frets here. I was like, woo! It felt good to battle that song though. It was like,
Yeah.
oh,
That's an incredible song.
thank you.
That's
I
an incredible
appreciate
song.
that.
I love that change in Find What You Love. You found a really cool change there.
Oh.
Yeah. That's so stunning. Thank you for sharing that.
I like that too.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like practicing my own songs and then I'm like, why didn't I just write a song that's like that the whole time? Really slow, you know? Just the whole song like that.
Yeah.
Next record.
Yeah. So you got a sneak peek of the next record. It's just going to be
Yeah.
that song,
Yeah,
all
just
tracks.
sideline all the complicated stuff and go on vacation.
Just put it on a track and just sing along to it. You don't even need to play guitar.
Wow, I think we just came up with a really great concept
That's
for a record.
Thank you so much for playing that.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
And my job.
Yeah. I want to make sure that we get you to sound check on time because
What sound check?
I know you have sound check in 20 minutes.
Yeah,
For
but it's only 6 minutes away.
This is true. Yeah, this is very fortuitous placement of Carter. It was nice of them to move Carter to Vintage Guitar so close to your venue.
Yeah, all these guitars had to go in cases.
It was a
just
lot
for
of
this.
effort,
Yeah,
but it was worth it.
yeah. Man.
Becca, thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm so happy this worked out, and it was wonderful to see you.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Yeah.